All right. By the way, Brett, who I probably trust more than most of you out there, he says it's 18,824 days from January 14th, 1974 to July 29 of 2025. Right. So the AI lied to me. AI lied to. I had 18,780 today. So it's worse than that. It's 18,824 since the Dolphins won the Super Bowl. You got that, Furones? You got
My
it?
goodness, what a number!
18,824.
Ooh. A lot of them before I was born.
Yes. 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 A lot of them. Um, I say good days in camp are not the up and down stuff that you guys are forced to do, which is kind of silly. I think the up days are the days there are no injuries. The down days are these right here, dude. The Ashton Davis, when a team
Right.
doesn't have a ton of depth, these are the bad days, bro. Like the Tyler Guyton kid who out for like 6 weeks now with that fracture and all that. That sucks. This is what I want to avoid if I'm the Dolphins. They don't. We talked about this. We had the discussion that they don't have a lot of great depth, and this is where you get kind of disappointed when you see this. So explain what you saw and what ended up happening.
Yeah, Ashton Davis, after a play, limping. Well, he was walking under his own power, but limping heavily. He wanted to do it on his own to go back into the facility. Wasn't carted off or anything, but then later he did come back out to watch some more team drills later on in practice, and he was on crutches and had a boot on his left foot. So don't know exactly, but lower left leg is what he's dealing with right now, and it was a noticeable limp when he did come off the field. So Dolphins at a safety position where, well, if you have all the names that you have, then you do feel like you have depth, but now that depth is running thin, and after Minka Fitzpatrick. Now you have Fatu Melifonwu, who's been on the non-football injury list, so he hasn't started to practice yet in camp, something that Mike McDaniel did call a more preventative measure. So we'll see once he gets back and if he comes back soon. Now that Ashton Davis is down, but Ashton Davis would have been that next guy that you would think would be a starter next to Minka Fitzpatrick if as long as you don't have Melifonwu. So he's not there. I did like what we were seeing out of Dante Trader, the rookie out of Maryland at safety, but he's been missing a few practices recently. So now you don't have him either. Now you're going down to like Elijah Campbell and Patrick McMorris, who's going into second year as the safeties. Aside from, hey, good thing you do have Minka Fitzpatrick now at least, but
Yeah.
now that other safety is a big question mark once you don't have Melifonwu or Ashton Davis now.
We'll get to Minka in a second here. Let me ask you the Darren Waller situation. You're not buying any of the bullshit that Mike McDaniel's selling, right? Because you can go look at his videos. That guy was doing like those, strong man, tough man, whatever it was contests. I forgot what they're called. It's got a different kind of name. That guy, and I was told he's in great physical shape. So this is the time to put him on the field when you weren't in pads and you were working him slowly and all that kind of stuff. None of this makes any sense. Whatever BS they're selling, and the fact that they brought in Noah Fant now, that tells me that the experiment with Waller has gone somewhat haywire in some sense or some form. Do you read it the same way?
Yeah, I mean, whether Darren Waller was ready or not, and I mean, he wasn't going to be his Pro Bowl self. I don't think we expect that out of him. But I thought Noah Fant was someone that I at least wanted to see the Dolphins pursue, regardless.
Sure.
So yeah, with Waller just like as an extra pass catching tight end piece, for greater depth, more options, this and that. But so I wouldn't know if they're related in that sense. It's possible though. But I think McDaniel's probably telling us that, but just being careful with his words and that because exactly what you're saying. Yes, he's in great shape. That which is all he's saying, right? All, but it's kind of
No,
like he's
nobody's
leaving
in,
something out. But
nobody's
he's
in
not in football shape, right?
nobody's in football shape. Nobody's in football shape. Austin Jackson's not in football shape. Bradley Chubb is not in football shape. None of those guys have been hitting. Nobody has been hitting. I don't give a shit who you are. Nobody's been tackling. Nobody's in football shape right now. But everybody, including him, is in enough shape to go run a stupid route and catch a football, dude. I mean, give me a break. It's not like Darren Waller was brought here to be an inline tight end and let's go, bro. Work on the blocking, work on the block. That's not who he is in the first place. You're hoping he can get in the way of somebody, not block. So let's get out of here. That's why what they're saying does not jive with the reality. The reality is now's when you get them in football running shape, but nobody's in true football shape until real collisions start to actually happen.
Of course.
Come on.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
hard. It's hard to buy any of this. It's really weird, dude. Really weird that they're doing this now at this point. Because if you're going to sign Noah Fant, then you're going to probably cut Darren Waller. Because Darren Waller is not mentally going to be able to handle that Noah Fant's coming in and then he's going to become the starter. He can deal with the other guys that are nobodies, but Noah Fant at least has done something in the NFL. You would create a really difficult situation, I would think, with Waller and Fant here. I'm just saying, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, if Fan were to be signed, then I wouldn't automatically say Darren Waller is cut. It's just now then you're looking at it's Waller competing to get back to that spot to see if it's like uh, getting in over the Tanner Connor. If it's like now it's like he's there going up against a Tanner Connor and Jalen Conyers and Hayden Rucci, where Farrell Brown and Julian Hill are your blocking tight ends, and then Noah Fant, you'd obviously have the top pass catching tight end roster spot. Now he is your Jonnu Smith of last year. And then it's like, if you're keeping four, if you go all the way to four tight ends and Darren Waller comes back and he makes enough plays in camp, now all of a sudden it's kind of like a spot between him and Tanner Connor if they end up going the route of four tight ends. But still, then it does start getting tight as far as him having a spot, though. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of rough to see that. I can only see one of them make the roster, but who knows? Stranger things have happened. Now, again, first of all, they have to even sign him. He left without
Right.
signing.
Right.
What have you heard? Did you check in with the Noah Fant side or what? What's the deal there?
Yeah, no, I mean, no update since yesterday. So what I do have is the visit confirmed. So Dolphins did bring him in. Nothing yet on how the meeting went or any progress on the deal. But yeah, it's the third team he visits with. So obviously, it's been a little bit of a slow, drawn out process to, visiting a few teams, some days away from each other for him since the cut in Seattle. I'm imagining just weighing out his options.
All right. Let's go with Minka. I personally, for me, I didn't care about hearing about him and Flo and the past and all that. It's really has nothing to do with anything that's going on now. I know that it's great fodder for you guys to write about and all that stuff. And I'm sure your editors were disappointed you couldn't get any juicy stuff about the past and all that. But I thought he did it in a masterful way to just move on from all the BS and just move on with what's going on now in football. He kind of turned the page in the right way, I would say. What would you think about how he handled all of that?
Yeah, and to be honest, I wasn't even that concerned about hearing about him and Flo again. I think maybe the writers who did cover the 2019 team, because I joined the beat in 2021. So, well, while I followed it while I was a UM writer those years, and maybe I wasn't as interested in him and Flo and that thing. I mean, I definitely would have used the quote if he did answer a
Of course.
question about it, right? So, had to cover it if he did, but yeah, he called that topic up off limits. So, but it wasn't even on my as far as something that I was looking to ask on myself either.
Oh, they were going to
But
ask it. They were going.
oh,
That
someone would. Yeah, of course.
for
Yeah,
sure.
especially yeah. There are so many beat writers who were there for that time when they last were together. So certainly, and Minka laid it down from the beginning. Hey, I wanted to clear this up. It's not by any um, my silence was of no part my emotions or a displeasure toward the trade. He said, "Hey, he is all about it, excited to be with the Dolphins now, and the next stage, and that he wants to be here long term." I made sure to ask him that, and he said yes, that's what he's looking for. So he got something of it with the guarantees, and now he's still looking for a long term deal down the road.
All right, I want to do something now because we need to stop. We need to reprogram ourselves now because as things change, as life evolves, as everything evolves at times, we need to start doing this. When somebody says they want to stay here and they want a long-term contract, that doesn't mean shit anymore.
All
Okay?
right. Yeah.
No, I'm being honest, dude. I'm just being honest. Okay. Jalen Ramsey got an extension. Did he stay? No. Lots of players in the
Things
NBA
change. Yeah.
extensions, and then now that I got my money, oh by the way, I want to get the f out of here, asshole. And that's what they tell them. You know what I'm saying? So that's the new thing now. Yeah, I can still get traded even after I get my money, and that's what's going on all over in different leagues now. So the fact that he wants a long-term deal doesn't mean that Minka can't be happy 2 years from now saying, "Yeah, I got my long-term deal, but I'm out. I want out." Tyreek got his money and he wanted out. You know what I mean? And he couldn't get out because he figured that once he figured out nobody wanted him, nobody was going to trade for him, and plus he was worth too much money and it was going to hurt the team. Then he calmed down and he realized I'm stuck like Chuck. But let's not kid ourselves. Okay? Players, when they say they want a long-term contract, fans should not think that this is marriage. Okay? And media should not also write or think or sell it to fans like, oh, he truly wants to be here. No, dude, he just wants his money. After that, you don't know what he might want because he already wanted out one time, so he could get out again. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying we got to stop with that whole thing that just because you want your money means you want to be here. You know what I'm saying? Just just throwing that out there, right?
Now, the question I did ask him was, do you want to be here long term? So it wasn't, yeah, do you, I mean, everyone wants the long term extension and all the money
But
in the
but
world.
they can all
But
say
he did
that.
say that, of course, he's got to say it, of course.
Yeah, they can all
What
say,
it's
of
the old,
course
what
I
is he
want
going
to
to
be.
say? Right.
Yeah, of course I want to be here long. Well, you're not going to get a long-term contract from anybody by not saying you don't want to be here. So you got to say I want to be here. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It's like, and then once you get it, then you can change your tune all you want, and that seems to be the new wave of how they're doing things in the leagues now. That the guys get their money and then they want to get their way and get out and go somewhere else
Yeah.
because they got their money already. Now they got you by the balls the other way. And so
Mm,
now, it's just really an interesting dynamic. By the
yeah.
way, I said, no way you can give, because he wants an extension. I said, no way, bro. You got to wait a year, see if Minka fits, everything goes well. And then if he jives well with Weaver, he plays well. Now you can give him an extension. But I did not see that move by Brandon Shore. That was fucking genius, bro. The
The get,
guaranteeing
yeah.
of the money, opening up the cap space that now you didn't have. Now you have the cap space to actually get the Sealer deal done now. I gotta commend him, dude. That was outright genius. Outright genius. I gotta
Well,
say. Outright genius.
that's the
You're gonna
that's the
have Minka
Brandon Shore masterclass.
dude, you're paying for nobody. You're paying for no corners. You're paying for no safeties. So the people that say, "Oh, why they guarantee Minka? His play was down in Pittsburgh." Oh, please give me a break, dude. You got no players back there. This guy can play. You're going to have him at least on your roster for a year or two because he's the only one that's proven anyway. So guarantee him the money. What the hell? He's in a prove it stage. And this gives you an option to do something with Sealer. And by the way, if Noah Fant, you can also do a 2 year special with Noah Fant that Greer loves to do. And you can
Yeah.
sneak him in there too, also at the same time. So I gotta commend the front office on that one. That solves two problems, and I thought that was genius. That keeps Minka happy for the year, and then that gives you the flexibility for Sealer. Do you agree with all of that, or am I off?
Yeah, I mean, no coincidence there that they pull off this deal, and then at the same time they are signing these two corners first. Let's mention that Jack Jones and Mike Hilton, the nickel, and then now that now you can move on to another order of business. Bring in Noah Fant on a visit. Now let's get talking with him. Yes, you have freed up those 11 million from all that, so now you do have the flexibility to consider those moves and yeah, with Zach Sealer's contract, then that could go toward even more cap savings if it came to that.
Right, because you can rework his deal this year, lower it even more, and then break it down. You can actually give him a lower number this year and a decent number next year, and then 3 years from now, and then it'll start to get really ugly, and then you'll have to, obviously
And
pay
that's
it.
more flexibility that
Yeah,
comes in.
yeah, yeah, but it'll
Same
give
way as with the Minka. Yeah.
right, exactly. So I did not see that one coming, and that was genius, dude. I really like that move by the Dolphins. I thought that was good because I think now we'll get a sealer deal done instead of waiting for the trading deadline. Like I told you that you would have to create space. Now you created that space, and you have a chance to maybe even improve the team. At the same time. What do you
And I
think?
don't think you have to worry about some fans want to say, well, if I'm Sealer, I don't love that they got the Minka deal done before they took care of him. One, now they're represented by the same agent, Drew
Yeah,
Rosenhaus, and two, I think what Sealer was saying the other day when he spoke to the media that he has full faith that the team will do right by him and all that. I think he's already understanding. I think he was ahead of that. He knew that was going to happen, and then now at some point they'll be coming around to him as another order of business. So,
dude,
uh,
all everybody has ever done is made fun that the Dolphins pay people. So, they'll pay their people, bro. It's just, it just is what it is.
oh, but remember,
Now,
hard stance now the
when,
other way this
when
year.
when they decide to move on from you, well, then that is what it is. But that's not the case with Zach Sealer, bro. It cannot be. You have gotten a bargain with Zach Sealer from day one. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? You've never even paid market value for Zach Sealer, not even close. So the back end of this deal is going to be a little expensive. So what, bro? It's what he deserves. You know what I mean? It's who he's been for you and who he's going to be for the next 4 or 5 years. He'll be the leader of your defense and the guy that sets the tone and all that kind of shit. So, you need guys like that, and you need pillars of stability, and you don't have a lot of those anymore on this team. He happens to be one of them, you know?
yeah. And as you mentioned previously, he could go deep into his career at his position,
Yes.
so you don't have to worry about him aging or anything like that. And he's just solid. He's not a guy that's going to change once he does get his money. I'm not worried about that when it comes to Zach Sealer.
How worried should the Dolphins be about how Dolphin fans should be about the secondary? Because man, there's a lot of shifting going around. There's not a lot of knowing what's what or who's who outside of one guy in Minka.
Yeah, Minka, and then now the one corner that you were hopeful for, Kader Kohu. We still don't know how serious that injury is when he went down the other day. So we haven't even really seen too much of the new corners. Are still getting adjusted, getting acclimated here in Miami. So Jack Jones and Mike Hilton still easing their way into things. So yeah, it's still going to be a huge question mark, and then it's kind of just like the clock is ticking. You have this month coming up now to get it all together. And shoot, I remember last year it was, even though they had the secondary in place, it was a lot of that they didn't practice together when you had Javon Holland in and out of the training camp lineup and Jordan Poyer. He was dealing with was it a thumb injury then when he was brand new here, and Jalen Ramsey was holding in, looking for the contract extension, not participating in practice, and all that was going on. And then you're trying to get the secondary together on the fly come the time for the regular season, and they struggled, and really it took a long time. It took well, I mean, the whole year before it really got going. So it that'll be even more of a struggle when you have one a younger group that is practicing right now, and then the veterans that you're just signing are just coming in off the street, and you're already a few practices in. They're still getting acclimated, so that will be a huge struggle. Now, Minka Fitzpatrick, he gives you someone solid on the back end, last line of defense, and versatile defender who can you can play him in the nickel and you can blitz him and you can put him up top at safety. You can trust him with some single high and that he'll take care of things up back there. But um, there's a lot that he'll have to cover up
Oh
if
yeah.
you're dealing with issues on the boundaries.
Yeah, that's why the pass rush is going to have to be exceptional, bro, so they can play with a little bit of the back end because that's going to be a real it's a Josh Boyer type of year is what it is. Unfortunately, you're going to have to rely a lot on that front pressure to help the back end that's not very good, and those guys aren't going to be able to hold coverage for very long. So you're going to have to get to the damn quarterback on the offensive line. Again, the pads were for the first time, so it's hard to measure anything right now. But the backup center position, what do you see so far? Because I like Brewer. Brewer did a terrific job last year, bro. He can get to the second level. He can move around, which is good for this offense. But he's not there yet, and I'm sure he'll be back shortly. But what do you see at backup center?
Yeah, and then Liam Eichenberg would be the other guy who we're not seeing in training camp, but he has backup center experience. Of course, started there a lot when Connor Williams went down in 2023. Then they needed him at guard last year, but now that he would have a reserve role once he does come back, then center is a place where you could see him, but we haven't seen him yet in camp, so we don't know if that would be his ultimate plan. But Andrew Meyer, undrafted guy out of UTEP that they had last year, they stashed him on the roster all year, even though he wasn't active. He wasn't playing in any games, but they stashed him and they kept him. They used a roster spot on him, so definitely a developmental prospect that they liked. And now he's got an opportunity this camp to step up. So that's one guy you're looking at a backup center. With Brew not around for the first week of camp, not placed on PUP, so he could still snap with Tua, but still hasn't been dressed for any practice, hasn't been in individual work or obviously any team setting. So without him, without Liam, then Andrew Myers, one that you're looking at, and then maybe Daniel Brunskill, a guy who has been with Mike McDaniel in San Francisco that you signed recently, uh, a guy who could play every position on the line. Then he's another option that you look at as a center snapping the football. And some of the other guys, like actually an undrafted guy, Addison West, he had a few bad snaps with Quinn Ewers back there just last yesterday's practice Monday. So a couple mishandled between the two, and then he sent a high one that Ewers had to snag up, catch, and actually credit to Ewers because he picked it up, looked upfield, and it was in a red zone drill, and he found his man for a touchdown in the back of the end zone after his vision of the field had to get thrown off by having to catch a high snap. So, but that was problematic. That was Addison West on that snap. So an undrafted lineman out of Western Michigan.
Okay.
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
okay.
So
One more thing before I let you go. With Quinn Ewers, obviously, you always get the fans to get silly and they think, oh, well, maybe he could be a starter. And I don't think he's a starter. But I did say this. I think Quinn Ewers can challenge Zach Wilson for the backup spot. So, what have you seen from those two guys as they sling it around?
yeah. Now here's the thing: is that Zach Wilson? They tell us was the targeted choice as a backup quarterback, and I know we've talked about it. Like, what? Why
Yeah,
was Zach
we're
Wilson
talking
that
about the
choice?
guy that had no idea that Skylar Thompson couldn't play. So let's move on from that. That means nothing to me whatsoever. I want to know what you see
Yeah,
when
yeah,
you watch
yeah.
the.
I'm getting to it.
I don't
Uh,
really give a shit what Mike McDaniel says anymore, to be quite
yeah,
honest.
yeah. I'm getting to it, and now, viewers, yeah, he didn't do much today, so it's been kind of like a back and forth. He had a great third practice of training camp, so as a rookie, you're going to be up and down. But when he's looked good. You know, so like you see the potential in him. He could make those uh, deep out corner route throws. Put some zip on the ball over the middle. We've seen him throw the deep ball well. Connect on those. So. Yeah, we have seen him shine. I would say making a few more plays than Zach Wilson, but of
Really?
course, going
Oh,
against threes. Yeah, going against threes instead of twos. So a little bit difference in the level of competition. But overall,
so
yeah, I would
they don't
say
they
that.
don't give Quinn any run with the twos at all?
No, no, no. Yeah, and I know we're not supposed to report on who's working with
Oh,
which teams, but that part I think is fine because and I did even answer a tweet asking me about this because Zach Wilson, he was their targeted choice as a backup quarterback, as we've said. So I think yeah we can identify that Zach Wilson is working with the twos based on that. But yeah, I mean I think it'll be something that's highly questioned that decision on Zach Wilson if indeed they stick to their guns because backup quarterback was such an important offseason move, and he was their choice. He was their targeted choice.
yeah.
So you would like to have that guy. I always thought you wanted a veteran, and then when you draft a rookie in the seventh round and Quinn Ewers drops to you there, that you could just bring him along, no pressure. He doesn't have to really compete for the backup job because you have your solid backup there. But um, it, it could turn into that down the road, but then they would have to admit they're wrong. They were wrong too on Zach Wilson to go
My
that route.
problem with Zach Wilson compared to Quinn Ewers, and it's not like I think either guy highly of either guy, but I
Right.
just think, and you can tell me when you watch it, I just think that in this offense, in order to really succeed, you got to have anticipatory skills. I
Yeah.
don't think Zach Wilson has anticipatory skills. He relies on his gun to see the break and then throw the break. Whereas Quinn Ewers actually has a little passing skills to him, and he can throw to a spot where the receiver is going to be. I don't think Zach Wilson excels in that. And in this offense, the way you run it through multiple windows, I just think it becomes a little bit more of a challenge for a quarterback, and I think Ewers might be better suited for that challenge than Zach Wilson. That's just me.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Zach Wilson is a guy that you think of his mobility. He can roll out and extend the play. Yeah, he's got the raw arm talent. So you think of those things that you'd like for him that made him a high prospect out of the draft. But those anticipatory skills, throwing to a spot where he said even was it either OTAs or minicamp that he was just being taught that by Slowick and Daryl Bevel, Frank Smith, and Mike McDaniel for the first time. Now joining the Dolphins. Now,
Which is scary as shit,
some
by the way.
right now,
It's
so,
scary as
some
shit to
Jets
learn how to
Jets
do
beat writers that I know have contested that saying that no, he definitely had to have been taught that in New York.
no,
So I don't know. Well, we don't know what's true or what's not. The point is, he did say that there
right.
must be at least a level of to which that you play the quarterback position that way that he was learning in a new way. Um,
There's a lot,
sort of
dude.
to say
There's a
that.
ton of quarterbacks in the history of the NFL that have relied completely on their arm skill, and they had no anticipatory skills whatsoever. That's a whole different trait. What that, and lots of guys have been just arm slingers. Joe Flacco's an arm slinger. He's not really an anticipatory guy. He's an arm slinger. Yeah, he can anticipate pretty damn good on a deep ball. That's the one. But he's not the guy that's going to throw a floater on a crossing pattern and throw it to a spot where a guy is going to be. That's not what he relies on. Neither is Randall Cunningham. Neither is Josh Allen. Neither is Lamar Jackson. There's tons of quarterbacks in the history of the NFL that are slingers. That's kind of who they were, and Favre didn't really develop any anticipatory skills till later in his game. He was relying all on his arm strength, which was, elite as it gets. But towards the end, he started having a little bit more of anticipatory throws, but it wasn't really in his game. You know, that's that's normal. That happens to a lot of guys. It's not an easy thing, dude. It's really not easy. It's a gift that not all quarterbacks have, that they can read through multiple windows and throw to a spot where they know exactly where the guy is going to be. That is a gift, bro. That's
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
sick gift.
That is why you have to value that Tua does that. I know a lot of people they only want to see quarterback play as the arm talent, the arm strength, and ability to extend the play, moving out of the pocket. But What Tua does with his accuracy and anticipation is oftentimes something to marvel at.
Big time. All right, so what do you got going on in the Sun Sentinel, sir?
Yeah, I was just writing about, well, obviously practice reports, so everything that's going down at each one of these training camp practices, and I was just writing about Chop Robinson, how hey, he was the orange jersey player today, but standing out going into year two. Jalen Phillips talking about future defensive player of the year candidate, and how Chop is working on setting the edge better to make him an every down edge defender, which will be huge for him down the road. So not just pile on the sacks, but to be a starter that way and be able to stop the run as well. He only started one game last year, so to make that stride going into year two, as he's going to get some help on the edge now with Jalen and Bradley Chubb.
Yes, man. Let's hope those guys can stay healthy because to watch those three play, that's going to be a lot. And then Sealer, what people
Yeah.
don't realize is that Grant's life is going to be so much easier playing next to Zach Sealer and then surrounded by Chop, Chubb, and Phillips. That will make his life so much easier. He's going to see all single man the entire time. Sealer will get doubles. They'll worry about Chubb. They'll worry about Chop. They'll worry about Phillips coming around the corner like a werewolf. Grant will have just if everybody stays healthy around him, he's going to have. It's not an easy path, but it's made easier for him than if he went to a team that was a first round pick and didn't have a lot of impactful people around him on the D line. He has guys that everybody else has to worry about. They're going to overlook his ass all season long. Good for him, bro. Good for him.
Yeah, and then you throw into all those names. Plus, obviously, we know about Jordan Brooks at inside linebacker, but on
Yeah.
top of that, Willie Gay is having a very strong camp. So that's a nice addition there with a lot of what he can do, whether it's pass rush, playing inside, outside, stopping the run. He's an athletic freak. Batting balls down at the line of scrimmage. I've seen him just like jump up when he can't get to the quarterback because he's about to release and just go obstruct the passing lane. Yeah, he can do a lot.
Yeah. I will have my say on that one soon. All right. Follow him on Twitter at David Furones _. Catch his work there at the South Florida Sun Sentinel. And of course, reach out to our friends at Welt Rheaume 954-966-4646. We are in hurricane season, but it doesn't matter. Storm season, rain season, it doesn't matter. You can cover floods. You got roof leaks. Call them. They have their own adjusters. Never call the insurance company. Call Welt Rheaume first. They will send their adjusters over. 954-966-4646. They will attack the insurance company for you. You'll never have to deal with them. The only thing you're going to do is pick up a check at the offices of Welt Rheaume. So it doesn't matter where you live in Florida. Call them 954-966-4646.